a month and a half ago, and this was on our Facebook page. And this is, I don't know if you've seen this Facebook post at first, but it's a doozy. So just listen to this, guys. I put out a request for anyone that's willing to risk their reputation and ridicule and online harassment and stalking who are amputees to do the protocol that will witness you regrow your limbs as well as missing organs. Patients will regrow their organs. I do have the science behind all the claims, and I'm making those on my website if you truly want to know. But I do request anyone who is willing to be adopted by me to put themselves out there and prove to the world that they can regrow an organ or a limb and reverse Down syndrome as well as autism and reverse your paraplegic, quadriplegic body.
How do you even respond to that? Here's something I've never got. Something I've never got about people like her is, why do they not test it on themselves? You know, if you believe that you can grow back limbs, if you can grow back parts of your body that you shouldn't be able to grow back, it's very easy to test, Jilly. All you need to do, cut off a little bit of your finger, drink your magical juice, and if it grows back, well done. You're going to have a Nobel Prize. You know, the world would be different. There'll be statues of you holding juice all over the bloody world. I mean, that's a really easy one. An even easier one is that you know, you can alter your blood for some reason by drinking this juice, because the antigens on blood are actually somewhat bad for humans. And I know that Jilly she's O positive. At least she said she is. So that's an easy test. She's been drinking this juice for God knows how long. Is she O negative now? She's not. No, you're full of shit then, aren't you, love?
I was getting ready to bring that up because I thought that was brilliant in your video about her, that it's something that is so simple to test. She had made the statement that she had been tested. What was it? 10 months, or it was 10 weeks or something like that. It wasn't
too long. Yeah, it was 10 months before. Yeah. But the thing is, as well, she makes all these things up, especially in her book. And the problem with Jilly is she's so prolific. So you'll never hear all her claims, because every day she's on Facebook for 3-4 hours. You're never going to watch all that. But in her book, she states things that I'm like, there's no way you have proof of this. She's talking about pregnant mothers feeding their babies Jilly juice. She's talking about taking it when you're pregnant, which I can imagine being incredibly dangerous. And she's saying it's fine. We know it's fine. I'm like, no, bollocks. You don't know that. There's no way you know that whatsoever. What tests have you done? What have you done? Nothing. And it all comes down to this disclaimer. I wish that people like her weren't protected by a disclaimer. I think if she says something like that, I think that there should be some kind of repercussions. Sorry, I'm almost sorry. I'm almost getting the pitchforks out now, aren't I?
I agree with you 100%.
I know I do too. But the problem with the antigen thing is there are certain things that, from what I understand, and people in the audience, you're a biochemist, so you're a chemist, so you probably know this better.
Oh, no, I'm a regular chemist, no biochemist.
Okay, regular chemist. You still chemistry stuff, but antigens can change in the blood given certain things. I've heard instances where a person's blood type can actually change given certain enzymatic functions of proteins, but how that occurs, I have no idea. But
we agree.
It wouldn't be like a Nobel Prize if somehow it changed.
We're saying that she can test that, though. Like, that's part of her claim. Yeah. She can easily test
that
by
a blood test herself. Come on, she's a bioethicist kind of person, right?
There are so many other things she could do as well to test that this is okay. Do you guys ever wonder about why she does it?
No, hold on, what was that? Awesome.
Do you guys ever wonder why she does it? Because I believe that Jilly is different to everyone else, where I think everyone else is somewhat doing it for somewhat altruistic reasons, that they believe they're helping people. I don't think that's the case with Jilly. I think that she's doing it because she wants the fame, she wants the glory, she wants the attention more than anything else.
Oh yeah,
I'm okay with that.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's totally it. No one can honestly say that in a post that when you're seeking amputees. So number one, you're preying on people who are in a situation where they're missing a body part, they have some sort of ailment or disease, and you're giving them a little sliver of hope. Like, even though we know that that's not possible, if somebody's in that situation and desperate enough, she may be manipulating them to feel like, oh, this, maybe if I do believe hard enough that this can happen. And to me, that's the worst.
Yeah, well, it's happened. I mean, we have at least one example of a guy who was dying from cancer. Yes, it was terminal, but he decided in the end that he was going to drink this juice. And obviously, the last few weeks of his life must have been awful being on that.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's sorry, it is vile.
What should we do? What should be the in an ideal world? How would we stop Jilly? Like how could we prevent her from saying these things? In especially in today's First Amendment, you have the right to say whatever you want. Society. How theoretically could we go and approach this to keep her from making these claims?
Wow. If I knew that one. I think again it comes back to these disclaimers. I mean, yeah, you can have the First Amendment right that you guys have, to say whatever you want, but that doesn't save you from any repercussions of what you said. So I think that if someone is giving out dodgy medical advice that is potentially dangerous, that there should be a system to punish these people. To prevent them from doing it. I know it sounds awful. I know it seems very draconian, but there are certain things that people are saying that are just flat out getting people killed. I
agree. You can't say fire in a theater. That's one thing that they've it's pretty much a standard. You can't say fire in a theater and cause panic. So by that same standard, I think it could be applied, to this. The question would be, would this need to be something that would be a punitive punishment or a monetary punishment? Like, should we jail people who are spreading harmful medical advice like this, or should they be civilly punished with money?
I think it really depends on what exactly they're doing. So someone like Robert Young, Dr. Robert Young in the PH Miracle, he's pretended to be a doctor and taken blood, and he's done all kinds of stuff. No, that guy should go in prison. That guy's broken the law. I think people like Jilly, you don't want to risk turning them into a martyr. You don't want them, because people will just love that. They'll see that as proof that she was correct. So I think, a fine, something not unreasonable, like a couple of grand here and there, something that they would notice that would hurt them, but not something that would be like, oh, the government are, they want me to suffer really badly. So something would just basically stop them in their tracks.
That makes sense. I think that where I would want to focus it would be on the, like we said earlier, the kids and the animals. Like you should approach it if a parent should have more common sense, I think, than to know that to give this amount of salt to a child, that would constitute as child abuse. So that would be a direction that you could.
It is. I'm not sure what it's like over your side of the pond, but over here, people have reported parents who have been doing this kind of stuff. It was a huge thing a couple of years ago in Ireland, was MMS, Miracle Mineral Solution, which is a bleach. And a few parents actually had their children taken off them for a small amount of time. Recently, there was a nurse down south who fed her child turpentine, and she also had a kid removed and taken into foster care because of it. So here in the UK, we take it very seriously. And if you report someone to the authorities for doing this, they will investigate it. And most of the time they'll be like, yeah, that's child abuse. Say goodbye to your kid.
Should be taken seriously over here on this side of the pond too. And by the way, I do agree with what you're saying to a point, but from my history, I don't see martyrdom a lot. When you said that, you risk turning her into a martyr, which is always a risk. But you know what? I've seen a lot of shit. And you know what? These people are forgotten about. They really are quickly forgotten about when they have punitive. They have they go to jail. Nobody gives a shit them anymore. They have a little fanfare, a couple, diehards, but give us some time. They all get forgotten. Like, for example, you didn't remember Dr. Clark. She was huge back in the 80s, right? Nobody knows who she is now, except for me, because I've read her book. Right, but people tend to forget about this stuff. Jillian will be a nobody in a couple of years if she's just
depends on
gone about or put in jail. Trust me, nobody's gonna make a martyr.
It depends on the cause. I think, like if we were to jail a flat earther, a prominent flat earther now, that would be a insane martyr, because it would then be the government trying to silence the truth from coming out. So it depends on. I think it depends on the conspiracy.
I think for me though, I think flat earthers, all that kind of conspiracy stuff. Yeah, you can think and do whatever you want. I don't really care. I think my cutoff. Everyone has a different line where they think is acceptable and where they don't think is acceptable. And my line is giving out dodgy medical advice. I can imagine a lot of people don't agree with me, but that's mine. That's where I think the government would have to step in and say, no, that's not right. I mean, they've done it all the time. We have laws against snake oil. We have for like 100 and 200 years.
I agree. I think that the angle that they're approaching Jilly now, I mean, it's creative and it could work, but it's a monetary thing with, the Attorney General from Ohio that's given her a certain amount of time to either prove her statements or retract all of that out of her, anything that she's selling. So her book, all of that has to, come down. So she's in the middle of that right now. But I think that, I mean, when you risk people's lives like that, I think it should go a step further. That's just me. I think that there are certain things that you shouldn't be allowed to do, and potentially killing people. And we don't know if it's been worse than the stroke and the death from the guy that has cancer. It could be more than that. This
is the thing. These groups are like self-correcting, because anyone who is seriously hurt is no longer there to post about it. I mean, you see it all the time in like AIDS denialist groups. If you scroll down long enough, you'll see people who die, and they'll say, "Oh, everyone in our group is fine and healthy, living without medication." You're like, "Well, that's because everyone who's not is not here to, comment."
Wow, that's wild to think about.
It's really depressing. I remember when I did a whole thing on AIDS denialism, I remember finding these groups when they were spreading my personal information around because they're twats. And just, scrolling down, you'd see people who went from, I'm not feeling, this isn't working, to being in a hospice, to no longer replying anymore. And I would see it multiple times. You'd see people die, and it was an awful thing to see.
Okay, and that's another thing too, guys. If you haven't checked out Myles' channel, you need to, because not only does he deal with things in this kind of snake oil realm, but he also branches out into another area that we've had some run-ins with that just didn't turn out well. We did a 9/11 truther debate. We hosted one of those, and man, the truthers, they come out in full force. Like they bogged down the comment section of that video for I don't know how long, and just was rattling everything that me and Steve were working for the terrorists. But I mean, they get so committed to these things, like with the Jilly Juice or any of these conspiracies. They get so like locked in. And I wanted to ask you this: there was a journal article that came out about 2 months ago, and it was showing the correlation with millennials that in today's society, religion is on the decline. People are less religious than they used to be. However, on the side of that, they are becoming more invested in these conspiracy theories, pseudoscience. That's increasing. So as religion, there's a correlation. As religion declines, pseudoscience beliefs increase. So they're essentially filling that void with something else that's harmful, in my opinion. So which to you is... Go ahead.
I was going to say, do you not think that might just have more to do with how much the internet is now part of our life? I mean, there's certain conspiracies that I didn't know about until the internet. I had fiber optic, but yeah. So I don't know if the two are really correlated that much. If that makes any sense. That would be my knee-jerk reaction to that.
Yeah, well, this is just the argument the article was trying to make, that they're trying to fill that void with something. So as if it's not going to be religion, they need something else that they can kind of cling on to and spend all their time invested in and being a champion for. So it brought the question to my mind: which is more harmful ultimately in the grand scheme of things? A belief in something that is may not be true and is discriminatory in a lot of ways, or an actual physical threat to your health with Jilly Juice or anti-vaxxing or that sort of thing?
Wow, that's one hell of a question. To be honest with you, for me, 'cause living in the UK, things are very different. We see religion